In the land of ancient Egypt, where the mighty Nile River flowed and the pharaohs ruled with an iron fist, a young Hebrew boy was born into a world of oppression and uncertainty. This child, destined to become one of the most pivotal figures in human history, would rise up and lead his people out of the shackles of slavery, confronting the most powerful ruler on earth and ushering in a new era of freedom and divine covenant. The story of Moses begins with his mother, Jochebed, and father, Amram, members of the Israelite tribe living under the cruel dominion of the Egyptian Empire. As the Israelites toiled endlessly to build the grand cities of their captors, Pharaoh grew increasingly fearful of their growing numbers, fearing they would one day rise up against him. In a desperate attempt to maintain control, he ordered all newborn Hebrew boys to be drowned in the Nile River. But Jochebed, defiant in the face of this unspeakable cruelty, devised a clever plan to save her son. She placed the infant Moses in a small basket and set him adrift on the river, trusting that the waters would carry him to safety. And so it was that the young Moses, his fate hanging in the balance, floated down the Nile, eventually coming to rest in the reeds near the royal palace. It was there that the daughter of Pharaoh, captivated by the child's innocent cries, discovered the basket and, moved by compassion, decided to adopt him as her own. Naming him Moses, which means drawn out in the Egyptian language, the princess raised the boy in the splendor of the palace, unaware of his true Hebrew heritage. As Moses grew, he was educated in the ways of the Egyptians, learning the language, customs, and skills of the ruling class. Yet, even amidst the luxury and privilege of palace life, he never forgot the plight of his people. One day, while observing the Israelites toiling under the merciless lash of their overseers, Moses' heart was stirred with righteous indignation. In a moment of fury, he struck down an Egyptian taskmaster who was brutally beating a Hebrew slave. Realizing the gravity of his actions, Moses fled the palace, escaping to the land of Midian, where he found refuge with the family of the priest Jethro. It was during his time in Midian that Moses encountered the divine presence of God, who appeared to him in a burning bush and declared that he had been chosen to lead the Israelites out of their bondage in Egypt. Filled with a sense of awe and trepidation, Moses protested, citing his lack of eloquence and the likelihood that the Israelites would not believe him. But the Lord reassured him, promising to be with him and equipping him with the power to perform miraculous signs and wonders. With great reluctance, Moses returned to Egypt, confronting Pharaoh and demanding that he let the Israelites go. What followed was a dramatic and unrelenting struggle between the will of God and the stubborn pride of the Egyptian ruler. Through a series of devastating plagues, from the Nile turning to blood, to the invasion of frogs, lice, and locusts, to the darkness that engulfed the land, Pharaoh's heart remained hardened, refusing to heed Moses' divine command. Finally, as the ultimate punishment, the Lord decreed that the firstborn son of every Egyptian household would be struck down, a tragedy that would ultimately break Pharaoh's resolve. On the eve of this last plague, the Israelites were instructed to mark their doorposts with the blood of a spotless lamb, a foreshadowing of the sacrificial Messiah to come. As the angel of death passed over the land, the firstborn of Egypt perished, while the Israelite families were spared. Devastated by the loss of his own son, Pharaoh at last relented, allowing the Israelites to depart. And so, under the leadership of Moses, the Hebrew people embarked on their long-awaited exodus, fleeing the land of their oppression and heading towards the promised land that God had promised their forefathers. But the journey would not be an easy one. As the Israelites made their way through the wilderness, they faced numerous challenges and setbacks, testing their faith and the resolve of their leader. When they reached the Red Sea, with Pharaoh's army in hot pursuit, it seemed as if all hope was lost. Yet, in a stunning display of divine power, Moses stretched out his staff, and the waters parted, allowing the Israelites to cross to safety. As Pharaoh's chariots attempted to follow, the waters crashed back down, swallowing up the Egyptian army. Freed from the shackles of slavery, the Israelites continued their trek through the harsh desert landscape, facing hunger, thirst, and the ever-present threat of hostile tribes. It was during this time that Moses ascended Mount Sinai, where he received the Ten Commandments, the fundamental laws that would shape the moral and ethical fabric of the Israelite nation. As the Israelites grew restless and rebellious, Moses interceded on their behalf, pleading with God to have mercy and guide them towards the promised land. Through a series of miraculous events, including the parting of the Jordan River and the crumbling of the impenetrable walls of Jericho, the Israelites finally entered the land of Canaan, the fulfillment of God's promise to their ancestors. Yet, even as the Israelites settled in their new homeland, the story of Moses was far from over. He continued to lead his people, guiding them through the challenges of nation building and establishing a system of laws and governance that would shape the course of human history. From the construction of the tabernacle, the portable sanctuary where God's presence dwelled, to the institution of the Levitical priesthood and the observance of sacred festivals, Moses' influence permeated every aspect of Israelite life. As the years passed, Moses' role evolved from that of a prophet and lawgiver to a revered figure of immense spiritual and moral authority. He stood as a bridge between the divine and the human, an intercessor who carried the voice of God to the people and the needs of the people to God. Through his unwavering faith and steadfast leadership, Moses transformed a band of former slaves into a nation of covenant people, bound to the Lord by the sacred laws and promises revealed at Mount Sinai. Yet, even as the Israelites prepared to cross the Jordan and claim their rightful inheritance, Moses' own earthly journey was nearing its end. Aware that he would not enter the promised land himself, Moses spent his final days imparting his wisdom and guidance to the next generation of leaders, ensuring that the vision he had fought so tirelessly to realize would be carried forward. In a poignant moment, Moses ascended Mount Nebo, where he was granted a glimpse of the land that had been promised to his people. And there, in the presence of the Lord, the great lawgiver and prophet drew his last breath, his life's work complete, his legacy etched into the annals of human history. The story of Moses is one of extraordinary courage, unwavering faith, and the transformative power of divine intervention. From his humble beginnings in the basket on the Nile to his triumphant role in leading the Israelites out of Egypt and towards the promised land, Moses stands as a towering figure, a testament to the steadfast pursuit of freedom and the indomitable human spirit. Through his life and the laws he established, Moses laid the foundation for a new social and spiritual order, one that would echo through the ages and shape the very fabric of Western civilization. His story is a timeless tale of redemption, deliverance, and the enduring power of the human will when aligned with the will of the divine. As we reflect on the life of Moses, we are reminded of the transformative impact that a single individual can have when imbued with a sense of purpose and the courage to confront the seemingly insurmountable. The story of Moses is not merely a historical account, but a vivid and inspiring testament to the power of faith, the resilience of the human spirit, and the unfailing promise of a God who walks alongside his people, guiding them through the wilderness and towards the promised land.